Okay, so today we're going to do a lesson on classification. I know that some of you don't know what that means today, but by the end of this lesson, I hope that everybody has a pretty good understanding of what it is and why we use it. We are going to start with the essential questions. We're going to ask it, think about it for a little bit. Then we're going to do a shoe lab. Then we're going to discuss the shoe lab and how it relates to the essential questions. And then hopefully everyone should be able to answer the essential questions. Any questions before we get started? Okay, so our EQs for today are how do we keep things organized and why do we classify objects? So everybody think about a possible answer. I'm going to give you 1 minute to just think about answers. So how do we keep things organized and why do we classify objects? We're going to answer it at the end of the lesson, okay? All right, so we are going to do a shoe lab. I need everyone to take off one shoe.
Doesn't matter which.
Doesn't matter which shoe. It could be right or left. Everybody take off one. I'll do it too. Everybody take off one shoe. So I'll take off my shoe. Put it in the middle of the table, please. Okay. So now I want you guys to spend 2 minutes organizing these shoes into 2 groups. So talk about what 2 big groups you're going to put the shoes in.
Boys and girls.
Boys and girls shoes? Okay, so we have 2 groups. No, 2 groups. 2 groups. Force all the shoes into something.
Sneakers.
Just do sneakers.
2 groups. 2 groups. 2 groups. 2 groups.
Elegant shoes.
Straps.
Boys and girls.
2
Or
groups.
just boots and then regular shoes.
Okay, no, laces.
Yeah,
with
boots and
laces.
regular shoes. There you go.
Boots and regular shoes.
Oh.
Okay, so that's going to be the 2 big groups.
Yes.
Boots and regular shoes.
Sneaker. I know.
Everybody got that? Boots and regular shoes.
Got it.
Okay, now, take another minute and divide each of your 2 groups into subgroups. So how will you divide those shoes and how will you divide these shoes?
Heel.
Heel.
Heel and no heel.
Flat.
Laces. Straps. No.
2
And
groups.
flats. Oh, 2 groups.
2 groups. So force those shoes
Fancy.
into something.
No.
Nope. Boots are already divided.
Little fancy.
Oh my.
There you go.
What?
2 groups.
2 groups. So no, that's fine. That's 2 groups for that. Okay, now divide these. We're going to divide until every shoe is by itself. So these 2 are by itself, so we're done with these. So now we're going to divide these 2 groups into 2 more groups.
Sparkly.
Sparkly.
Oh, laces with
Laces.
no laces.
No, you're okay. Time out. Time out. We're gonna start over because you can't mix them into groups. So you divided these 2 into a group, so they have to stay together and then be divided.
Sorry.
You see what I'm saying? So this was one group. Now we're dividing this into 2 groups. Okay.
Boys from girls.
Boys from girls. Now divide these into 2 groups.
Sparkles.
And non-sparkle.
From non-sparkle.
Okay, great. Now did everybody see what we just did?
What about like
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What did we just do? Who wants to answer that? Simone?
We classified all of them by some characteristic.
By some characteristic. Very good. And Joshua, how did this help?
Well, it helped us, by,
Okay, we're going to let you think about it, and then we're going to come back for an answer. Cece, how did this help?
Separating the shoes probably could have helped us, like, from eating different pair of shoes, like what shoes you could wear out
Mm-hmm.
to, like, church or something, or what shoes you can go out and hang out with friends.
Very good. Okay, now, can anybody think of anything else that is organized into groups and subgroups? Joshua?
different subjects and like papers and other things like that.
Very good. We can organize our written papers that way. Simone?
Colors.
Colors are organized into groups and subgroups. Romaine?
Books.
Books are organized into groups and subgroups. Sydney?
Shirts.
Shirts, yep. You were going to say the same thing?
You would say clothes?
Clothes, yep. Cece?
What's it called? What is it? Like, you're African American, and they have some Chinese. Yeah, races.
Races, very good. So, okay, now why do you think people came up with dividing things into groups and subgroups? Josh?
To make it easier to, probably to make it easier to find things that you're looking for.
Very good. To make it easier to find things. Any other reasons why we might organize things into groups and subgroups? Would it help you to describe a shoe to somebody if it's in a subgroup? For example, if I said, go bring my shoes, that could be any shoe in my closet, right? But if I say, go bring me the brown boot with the heel or the sparkly flats, would you have a better idea of what I was talking about?
Yes.
And so what's that called? It's called classification. What's another, why do we use classification?
To be organized.
To be organized and to
Be specific.
be specific. So when we're communicating with people, we want to be as specific as possible, and so therefore we use classification. Very good. Everybody can take your shoe back. Alright, so I'm putting my shoe back on. Alright, so in the scientific world, they organize living objects into different groups and subgroups, okay? So the very biggest group that we can think of is Animalia, which sounds like animals. Very good. So then they take an animal. Let's say we took the grizzly bear. So we're dividing it into an animal because it's an animal, but that means it includes cats, dogs, horses, fish. Okay, so scientists have come up with a way to keep all living things organized and to communicate with each other, even though everyone does not speak the same language. So they have used Latin words to identify each living object. And they've broken down living objects into different groups. So a quick way to help you remember this order would be King Philip came over for good spaghetti. Okay? So basically that's telling you kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. And so throughout the week we are going to talk about what each of those mean. But as an overall introduction, we're going to do the grizzly bear. So this is how we identify a grizzly bear. So let's say I live in a remote jungle and it's real hot and swampy, and so there's no grizzly bears in my jungle. But I want to know what this animal is that I'm looking at after I've traveled to North American forests, okay? So I know it's an animal because it's breathing and it's eating. So I would call it Animalia. But Animalia also includes what? Name some animals.
Chimpanzee.
Chimpanzees and
Alligators.
fish, alligators, any animal. So any animal will be in the... Have you ever heard of Animal Kingdom?
Yes.
Hey, that's where it comes from. So any animal, foxes, bears, horses, fish, cats, dogs, those are all in Kingdom Animalia. Then we go down to its phylum. So this is like when we divided our shoes into two groups. Remember we divided our shoes into two groups? Mm-hmm. So we would have Animalia and then we would have the plant kingdom. Okay, so this is the original two groups that we use. So the next group is phylum, which is Chordata. What does Chordata look like? What is that word? Chord. Very good. So what chord can you think of?
Spinal.
Exactly. So the next group is animals with spinal cords, okay, or vertebrates. Exactly. So we named some animals with vertebrates.
Lion.
Lions,
Tigers.
bears. Oh my. Yes. Okay. So then after we talk about the animals that have a spinal cord, then we go to the class. Mammalia. What does that look like? Mammal. Very good. So name some mammals.
Basically all
Animals.
All animals that give birth to live young.
Animals that give birth to live young and
Feed them.
very good. Yes. 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 Okay, so we're gonna name. We still got our grizzly bear. We still got our lions, cats, dogs, horses. So then we have the order carnivora.
Carnivores.
Carnivores. They eat meat. They eat other animals. Okay. So they don't just eat plants. Okay. Okay, because some of our bears only eat plants, but because of everything else other characteristics that they have, they're still in this order. So they're carnivores. Okay, so then the family. This is when you get real specific. Ursidae. Now, think about astronomy for half a second. Ever heard of the constellation? Very good. And what is that one shaped like? And it's part of the Ursa Major, which looks like a bear. Very good. So that's how you can remember that this is the bear family. Okay, so we're talking about black bears, grizzly bears, panda bears. Okay? Yes.
What? Oh, yeah.
So then we get to genus, all right, which is Ursus. Now here's where it gets tricky. There is only one bear that does not fit into this category. The rest of the bears are extinct. And that would be
Polar.
not polar bears.
Grizzly.
No.
Panda?
Brown bear.
Panda bear. Why do you think it's the panda bear? It only eats bamboo. So therefore, it's not in the Ursus because it eats so here, this is bears, and these are bears that eat meat. Okay? Then we get down to species, which is Ursus arctos, and that will be our grizzly bear. So there are other species names for the black bear and for the polar bear, but we're just talking about the grizzly bear, so it goes all the way down to Ursus actus. So if I were a scientist that didn't speak your language, and I said, what is that? I could tell you Ursus arctos, and you would say, oh, a grizzly bear. Because you understand that the Latin subgroup tells you that it's a grizzly bear. Everybody understand?
Yes.
Questions?
No.
All right, so now let's go back to our EQ. Who could tell me how we keep things organized? Simone?
By classifying.
By classifying them. Very good. And why do we classify objects, Joshua?
We classify objects. Wait, why? Oh, we classify objects in order to keep.
To be specific and Sydney?
So people know what they would be looking for.
Exactly. So that everybody knows what you're looking for, to be specific, and just to keep everything organized. Very good. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we will continue classifying other animals so that you can watch the breakdown of the classifications depending on what species you're looking at. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Fino.
Class is done.